You're not human. The devastating truth about your divine identity revealed at midnight. A chill swept through the dimly lit streets of Millwood as the clock struck 12, echoing with an eerie finality. The air crackled with unspoken secrets, and tonight, those secrets were waiting to be ripped from the shadows. Whispers of the town's long-buried past slithered through the alleyways, tales of celestial beings misidentified as mere mortals. In just under an hour, the truth would unfold, and the line between human and divine would blur in a way that left hearts pounding. The first sign appeared in the form of a translucent fog rolling in from the east, thick and damp, wrapping around the known and unknown. People spoke about it, pointing fingers and gasping in hushed tones, the sensation that the fog carried messages from other worlds. Legends claimed it was the harbinger of change, the cloak for those who walked between realms. Eyes sparkled with thrill and fear as mothers pulled their children closer, eyes darting toward the invisible horizons. As the clock's hands crept forward, a strange crimson light flickered in the center of Millwood's South-aged park. It pulsed ominously, as if inviting the curious to step closer, to peek behind the curtain of the cosmos. The gatherings of townsfolk started murmuring, "Have you seen it? What does it all mean?" The thrill of the chase dug deep into their stomachs, making hearts race. Could this strange display hold the answers they all sought but feared? Just then, Emily, with her wide, terrified eyes and trembling hands, broke away from the crowd. "I need to find out," she said, voice shaky with determination and dread. With each step towards the light, she could feel the weight of every gaze pressing onto her back. The whispers grew louder, wrapping around her like a cloak. "Don't go, there's something out there, something waiting for you." But her feet moved forward, captivated by a force she couldn't explain. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Emily reached the radiant glow, it dimmed, as if taking a breath before revealing its secrets. The crowd held its collective breath, straining to see what she would uncover. Shadows danced, forming shapes that echoed the faces of people they knew, friends, neighbors, even family, but their features twisted into exaggerated expressions of despair and longing. And then, with a screeching noise, the light exploded into 1,000 glowing orbs, dispersing into the night sky. Gasps erupted from the crowd, panic stirring in their hearts. "What does it mean?" someone shouted, but the answers hung unanswered like remnants of a dream. As silence cloaked the park, Emily gasped at what loomed before her, an ethereal figure, cloaked in shadows. Time seemed suspended. She could feel electricity in her veins, an uncontrollable urge to step into the unknown. Who was this figure? Were they fated to collide when the universe spins out of control? What would happen when the clock ticked again at the very last moment? What divine truth awaited? The figure stepped forward, the shifting shadows revealing a face twisted by centuries of pain and wisdom. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Was this the being heralded in the whispered legends? The one who held the threads of their destiny, the strands of fate dangling in the luminous air like the glowing orbs scattered above? Do you seek the truth? The figure's voice slithered through the night, echoing off the trees with a resonance that sent shivers down Emily's spine. The crowd, frozen in disbelief, held their collective breath as their eyes darted between her and the enigmatic entity. Could she truly speak to this otherworldly presence? Emily swallowed hard. What truth? The words slipped out in a tremor, her resolve fluctuating like the light that surrounded them. The figure extended a hand, palm upward, and a flicker of energy radiated outward, illuminating the dark mist swirling around the park. "Tonight, I reveal that which has been hidden from you. Your lineage, your origin. You are not merely human. You are something more." The crowd gasped again, their disbelief now mixed with a tremor of curiosity. An elderly man at the back of the group shook his head, voice laced with skepticism. "This can't be. We are just simple folk. The figure's piercing eyes turned toward him, and the air felt charged. Simple? You think simplicity defines you? Look deeper. As the shadows twisted around the figure, distant echoes of human cries seemed to reverberate, morphed from joy and reverence to anguish and betrayal. Emily's heart pounded. Was this what they were made of? A legacy buried under fear and misunderstanding? Where do we come from? She demanded, her voice rising, the need to know burning. Your existence is a tapestry woven from realms unknown. Long ago, your ancestors stepped through the veil, merging with celestial beings. Every pulse in your veins carries power. Every heartbeat ties you to the cosmos. The figure paused, its gaze unwavering. But danger looms. The balance is in peril. You must choose. Emily, embrace your destiny, or let it slip into darkness. The night fell silent and heavy. The tension gripped Emily's heart, binding her limbs. A choice? It sounded foreign. How could she fathom what lay ahead? The crowd surged at the implications, fearful glances exchanged, confusion and excitement flickering in their expressions. Was she meant to lead them now? Why me? She whispered, almost inaudibly, feeling small against the vastness of her revelation. Because you hold the key, the figure replied, voice slow and deliberate. The crimson light pulsed again, and for a brief moment, Emily saw flashes of her own reflection, but not as she was instead. She glimpsed a strength she had never known, woven with threads of light. Suddenly, the shadows erupted with a fierce wind, swirling around them. The crimson light flickered violently, and flickering orbs fell sharply to the ground, forming shapes behind her. Emily turned, realizing they mirrored her closest friends and family. Doubt, fear, but a desperate urge to understand pulsated in their eyes. I can't do this alone, she cried out, the gravity of the moment anchoring her in place. You will not be alone, the figure assured her. But you must decide. The fate of Millwood, the fate of your bloodline, rests with you. Just then, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and deep rumbles echoed through the air. The clock ticked steadily, each chime a countdown, and a faint glow pulsed beneath the park. What choice would Emily make, and what darkness would rise if she faltered? As the shadows danced frantically, and the crowd began murmuring again, the weight of destiny pressed hard against her chest. Could she embrace the divine within her, or would fear bind her to the fate she sought to escape? The darkness loomed, the truth demanding to be unveiled, just inches away from swallowing them whole. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for, or the harbinger of a doom they could not foresee? Emily stood paralyzed, the words of the figure swirling in her mind like echoes in an empty chamber. You hold the key. The weight of those words pressed down on her, anchoring her where she stood. Her pulse raced. A tempest of confusion and fear overshadowed the flickering light around her. Where? What? She stammered, glancing back at her friends. They looked as lost as she felt, but there was something else, an unspoken question in their eyes. Could they really be part of something greater? Something divine? Suddenly, a loud crackle flared in the air, and the ground beneath them quaked with a violent thrust. People staggered, wide-eyed, as the pulse of crimson light shot up, illuminating the forest treetops. Emily's heart sank as she glared towards the figure, its expression unreadable but rocky ground beneath them setting her nerves ablaze. Make your choice, Emily, the figure commanded, voice rising above the chaos. Time dances at the edge of darkness. You must be willing to embrace what you are. Brows furrowed, she felt her friends pull closer, desperation reflected in their faces. They needed her to make a decision for their sake as much as her own. Just as she was about to speak, another tremor rocked the park, followed by a cacophony of whispers filling the air, chaotic and frantic. The shadows come for us. Do you hear that? Her best friend Jenna's voice cut through her panic, eyes darting around. It's like they want something from us. Emily turned towards the trees lining the park like sentinels, their massive branches swaying like skeletal fingers grasping for the night sky. Flashes of movement caught her eye, shapes lurking in tightly knit shadows, shifting in and out of view like spirits craving freedom. Shape up, Jen, grunted Jake, trying to maintain courage. Focus. What do we do? But not even his bravado could mask the tremor in his voice. I don't know, she shrieked, her own fear bubbling over. The tension threatened to ignite as the figure's face morphed with fury. The illusion hides the true power you inherit. To confront the darkness is to embrace your ancestors. It implored, its voice warped by looming shadows. If you falter, everything will collapse. The fragile balance must be maintained, or your past will consume the present. The shadows grew thicker, clawing hungrily at their heels, and Emily felt the desperate gnawing of fear rise in her throat. Instinctively, she grasped for control, shaking off momentary dread. If we're not just human, then tell me what I need to do. The figure's expression shifted. A glimmer of approval flashed briefly, replaced by something deeper, a hint of sadness. You must connect to the roots of your past. Only then will you understand your power. As if summoned by her declaration, the ground shuddered again. This time, the light beneath them pulsed erratically, revealing intricate patterns. Emily dropped to her knees, eyes fixed on the vibrant threads shimmering through the soil, their insistent glow outlining forgotten symbols pulsating with life. The energy crawled up her arms, sending shockwaves through her being. Emily, her friends shouted, faces twisted with a mix of awe and fear. Trust me, she screamed back, feeling drawn into the energy. She closed her eyes, allowing memories she deemed never lived to weave themselves through her consciousness. Faces she didn't recognize floated by, each one echoing a silent promise, a lineage unfurling like a flower in the sun. Suddenly, a gaping shadow slashed through the air, rising ominously. The wind shrieked, a high-pitched wail that rattled her core. Choose now. The figure bellowed, voice rich with urgency, with the celestial energy humming through her like wildfire. Emily's eyes flew open. Shadows closed in, and she stood wrapped in light, ready to bind her fate with those of her ancestors. Together, she shouted, raising her palms to the sky, the crimson glow synchronicity dancing wildly. But uncertainty cracked the moment. Could this choice truly unite them, or would it break everything apart? The potential for revelation, power, and danger melded into a single heartbeat of inevitability. What fearsome truth lay ahead, and would the overwhelming shadows crush her before she could grasp it? A choice loomed, and Emily could feel time slipping away as the darkness gathered to strike. One thing was certain, she would learn who she was or risk losing everything she held dear. What waited on the other side? The shadows surged, crackling with malevolent energy, and Emily felt the ground tremble beneath her. It was as if the earth itself screamed in anticipation. The air thickened, wrapping around her like a noose, suffocating the remnants of her doubt. Emily, don't you dare look back, Jenna shouted, her voice a lifeline amid chaos, but it was too late. The creeping shadows, like tar, began to envelop the toes of their shoes, drawing closer to their hearts. Panic surged through Emily. It clawed at her insides, wrestling for freedom. Let it in, the figure urged, its glowing eyes boring into Emily's soul. Let the truth guide your choice. She closed her eyes tight, breathing deep, feeling an unprecedented rush of warmth flash through her. The ancestral energy pulsed, vibrant threads weaving in her mind, echoing with stories of strength. She touched the earth, her fingers brushing the glowing patterns. Each symbol vibrated beneath her fingertips, whispering secrets from the past, their meanings sparking recognition. Memories she had lived engulfed her visions of battles fought, sacrifices made, and the unwavering courage of those who came before her. She felt fire igniting within her veins. Suddenly, a wave of foreboding swept through the air. The whispering shadows slithered closer, threatening to drown her. Embrace it. Don't let them take it away. Emily, you've got to make a choice right now. Jake's shout jolted her, forcing her to confront the moment. She had stumbled through life, feeling like a puzzle piece in search of a home, unsure of her own identity. But now, the revelation clawed to the surface, desperate to break free. I choose to fight, she shouted, heart pounding in sync with the rhythm of the earth. I will embrace who I am. The instant the words tumbled from her lips, a fierce light erupted from her palms, dispersing the shadows like mist before the dawn. The crimson glow burst forth, vibrating in harmonious waves that intertwined with the dark tendrils reaching towards them. Each flash sent ripples of energy, illuminating the forest in shades of gold and silver, banishing the encroaching darkness. Behind her, Emily felt the warmth of Jenna's hand grip hers tightly, steadying her, grounding her resolve. "We're in this together," Jenna cried out. "We won't let fear take us. You lead, Emily." But just as hope surged, a cold whisper brushed against Emily's ear, chilling her spine. "You think you've won?" The figure's gaze deepened with a knowing sorrow. "This is only the beginning. True power comes with a cost." The shadows buckled as an unseen force rippled against her light, too strong to contain. Emily strained against it, focusing on the ancestors now coursing through her, solid and unyielding. She clenched her jaw, determination flooding her. A new kind of fire ignited in her spirit. Then let the cost reveal itself. She roared, arms wide, daring the darkness to breach her radiant barrier. But in that moment of defiance, the skies darkened, and an earth-shaking roar shattered the air. The ground threatened to split under their feet, revealing yawning chasms thick with an abyssal gloom. Emily's heart raced as she felt the ancient powers writhe, as if warning her of the chaos about to be unleashed. "What's that?" Jenna shouted, pointing towards a swirling vortex at the park's center, a harbinger of calamity that seemed to pulse in sync with Emily's heartbeat. "What is happening?" A chilling silence fell, as time itself appeared to hold its breath. Every gaze locked onto the gaping maw. Then, an eerie voice slithered from the depths, drenched in menace. "Only those who dare know their past can withstand the weight of their future." Emily's skin prickled, sharing a glimpse of the truth. Would her newfound power hold against the impending tide, or would she lose everything she had fought to uncover? And as tendrils of shadows closed in again, a question lingered: what terrifying secret had she unleashed? The shadows writhed like a living organism, hungry and insatiable. Emily's heart slammed against her ribs, urging her to flee, but there was nowhere to go. The vortex at the park's center pulsed in rhythm with her racing pulse, a warped heartbeat echoing the dread rising in her throat. "Emily, we need to move. Now." Jenna's voice broke through the thick despair. But Emily couldn't tear her gaze from the gaping maw. It beckoned her, whispering dark promises of power and knowledge that twisted around her consciousness like ivy. What if it's a trap?" Jake said, his voice trembling. "What if facing the truth only brings more pain?" "No," Emily shot back, surprising herself with the force of her conviction. "I can't back down now. This is my chance to know what I really am." With that declaration, the shadows recoiled just for a moment, hesitating as if unsure how to respond. Emily felt the pressure against her light lighten, and she seized the opportunity, stepping closer to the vortex. Jenna's hand slipped from hers, her frantic scream echoing behind her. "Emily, don't." But the swirling shadows didn't scare her anymore. They were her past, her ancestors, all of it harnessed in one tempestuous whirlpool. A voice, deeper than the abyss, whispered through the air. "Every step deeper reveals the truth you desperately seek. But will you cherish it or resent the burden?" Emily's breath hung in her throat. Cherish or resent? She gritted her teeth, her finger tracing the glowing patterns etched into the earth. Those symbols burned with meaning. They connected her to a lineage she had just begun to understand. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice steady. "Why did you leave me in the dark?" The gaze from the figure in the purgatory of shadows held hers, sorrow etching lines in its haunting visage. "The choice was yours from the beginning, Emily. But now you must learn that some truths come at a price." She felt it, then the pulse of something ancient and raw, reverberating in the air, each beat like a warning drum. The ground shifted beneath her feet, a violent quaking as fissures opened wider, threatening to swallow them whole. "Hold on," Jenna yelled, lunging to grasp Emily again. But Emily was resolute, planting her feet firmly, drawing strength from every ounce of spirit within her. With a surge of defiance, she shouted into the cavernous void, "Show me then. Show me the truth." In response, the vortex exploded with light, a tempest of color that illuminated the forest, painting the trees in vivid hues, as if the very soul of the earth had awoken. And then, the truth rushed in a blinding wave of memories, fears, and revelations. Each pulse of light revealed glimpses of her past lives: warrior, healer, protector. Each life brought weight. A burden was so heavy it nearly crushed her. Your lineage runs deeper than mere humans, the figure said, its voice echoing from every shadow surrounding them. You are what has been hidden for millennia. Power flows in your blood suddenly. Another roar broke through the cacophony, more feral than before, shaking the trees with an otherworldly force. Emily spun around, dread seizing her heart. What had she awakened? With each beat of her heart, she felt the shadows surge again. You have called upon forces beyond your understanding. Are you prepared to face them now? Just when Emily thought she had a grasp on her truth, the ground split wider, revealing an expanse of darkness. Get back. It's too dangerous, Jenna shouted, but the vortex released a pulse of energy that sent them staggering back. Emily's breath caught in her throat. We need to find out what lies beneath. The vortex spiraled faster, shadows swirling, drawing them nearer. But before Emily could act, the anguished wail of a being trapped within the darkness erupted from the abyss, sending chills down her spine. Who or what was imprisoned there? Did it want her to release it? Dread tightened its grip on her throat. What would she be unleashing upon the world? All at once, the terrifying realization crashed down on her. Was she truly ready for the truth that awaited? And could she survive it? The light from the vortex pulsated, casting eerie shadows that danced over the treetops. Emily felt the ground rumble beneath her feet, a primal energy rising, awakening something deep within her. Fear mingled with exhilaration, each pulse of light amplifying her senses, urging her forward. We can't stand here. We have to help whatever it is. Jake's voice was frantic, echoing the terror coursing through him. Emily could see the panic in Jenna's eyes too. They were both afraid of what this might unleash. But she felt a call beneath the chaos, something that demanded to be understood. Do you hear that? Emily whispered, almost reverently. The wail grew louder, a heartbreaking cry that tugged at her soul. It wasn't just a sound. It was a message, a plea. She could feel its urgency wrapping around her, begging to be set free. Emily, don't get any closer, Jenna shouted over the thrumming chaos. But Emily could no longer hear her. The shadows shifted, swirling, morphing, as if responding to her very thoughts. What if this is a chance to save someone or something? She countered, her voice trembling yet resolute. Or a chance to doom us all, Jenna retorted, desperation clawing at her words. The weight of the choices ahead sank deep, but her curiosity outweighed the fear. What kind of power lay behind that scream? What was she truly capable of? Whatever it is, it needs us, it needs me, Emily yelled, steeling herself. She stepped towards the abyss, drawn in by an invisible thread. The ground shook violently now, revealing a glimpse of pitch-black depths below, as if reality itself was unraveling. Suddenly, a burst of energy shot through the ground, and Emily lost her footing, tumbling toward the gaping void. Jenna lunged to grab her, but missed, her screams swallowed by the chaos. Every instinct screamed at her to retreat, but she couldn't. Time stretched, heart racing, as she plunged deeper into the darkness. Thoughts collided in her mind, choices, consequences, ancestral ties, and suddenly, she was enveloped in a world that felt both alien and achingly familiar. The shadows slid past her, whispering secrets, each murmur pulling at her awareness. You are the one summoned. Your power is the thread that binds us. And then, she felt it. A sharp pang, the weight of generations crashing down upon her. Lost warriors, seekers of knowledge, and rebels against fate. Each soul layered with anguish, binding her to their stories. This was no mere journey into the unknown. This was an awakening of her true lineage, chaotic and magnificent. What are you? She called out, her voice echoing in the void. We are the guardians of your truth, forged in shadow and light, the voices said, merging into one. Your destiny is where our realms converge. Terror twisted in her gut, and yet, amidst it all, a glimmer of hope sparked. Could she harness this power? Could she find a way to rescue the entity trapped in this nightmarish void? Then the ground below her shifted again. It opened wider, and just as she thought it would swallow her, a hand reached out, not from the shadows, but from within her. She could feel an energy coursing through her veins, pulsing like a second heartbeat. With newfound strength, Emily pulled herself back from the edge, defying the darkness with every fiber of her being. I will not let fear dictate my fate. As she stood firm, the vortex emitted a guttural growl, rippling with fury. The shadows converged, demanding her submission, but Emily's heart thundered with defiance. Do you dare challenge your fate? The voice from the abyss spread an unsettling shiver across her skin. I define my own fate, she shouted. When she finally turned, she couldn't find Jenna or Jake. The park was dimmer, unrecognizable. Had she lost her friends in this whirlwind of shadows? What more awaited her within the abyss she had barely skimmed the surface of? Take hold of your burden, Emily, the voice urged. But be wary, not all truths are meant to be set free. As these ominous words echoed in her soul, Emily knew she had merely scratched the surface. The real test was still to come, lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the stroke of midnight to unveil the chaos ahead. What awaited her in the darkness? And would she be its savior or its next victim? Emily stood there, pulse racing, uncertain and electric. The shadows twisted and churned, swirling like a dark tempest around her. Gone were the soft edges of the park. It had morphed into a place that felt untethered from time and reality. An overwhelming feeling of loss washed over her. Jenna and Jake were trapped somewhere in this chaos, possibly. Where are you? She cried, her voice laced with desperation. The shadows responded with a rumble, deep and foreboding. They thickened, blurring her vision. Was it the vortex's wrath or the looming presence of something far darker? It was impossible to tell. But the truth was, she was not the same girl who had stepped toward the abyss moments ago. With each beat of her heart, the power within her pulsed brighter. The voices those ancient guardians had stirred a strength she never knew existed. It was intoxicating, yet terrifying. Focus, Emily, she whispered to herself. Your friends are lost. The voices echoed ominously, as if sensing her inner turmoil. They cannot follow you into what you are becoming. No, I want to abandon them. Rage ignited in Emily's chest. I refuse to let you take them too. The ground trembled again beneath her, visceral and primal. She could feel the dark tendrils reaching for her, wantonly hungry, wishing to consume. But she wouldn't yield. Not now. What do you want from me? She shouted defiantly, forcing the shadows to coalesce into a semblance of clarity. The voices quieted momentarily, then spoke in harmony. Your destiny is intertwined with the key to our existence. We are remnants of what once was and what could be again. You alone have the power to set us free or doom us forever. Emily's breath hitched. Their existence was linked to hers. The weight of that thought was staggering. Could she really bear it? The entity trapped here, the one who cried out in pain. I have to save it, save them all, she declared. Grounding herself in purpose, the cold breath of air fanned her face as the shadows swept around in a chilling whirl. Each gust whispered fragments of long-lost echoes that clawed at the edges of her sanity. But just as she began to lose her fragile grip, one call broke through the cacophony. It was Jenna's voice, a haunting melody tethered to her heart. Emily, help us, I'm here. I want to leave you behind. Tears sprang to Emily's eyes, and suddenly, the shadows around her itemized. Faces began to take form within the darkness, hollow, tormented, but ethereal, victims of a cycle of despair. But beneath that despair, something shifted. Was it a flicker of hope? Her heart swelled, pulling forth an ancient knowledge that pulsed through the very essence of her being. They needed her. You can harness what lies within, scion of the lost. The voices rang louder. Claim your right. Emily felt herself drawn toward a radiant glow that pierced the shadows, urging her to step closer. A golden thread interwoven with her fears and hopes hung in the air, pulsating vibrantly. She could see fragments of her friends in the luminescent glow, their faces trapped in terror, but not entirely lost. Let me save you, she shouted into the depths of dark, determined to bridge the gap. With her hands extended, she felt the pull of familial energy surge. The darkness roared and recoiled, but Emily stood resilient. She was not just a girl. She was a beacon, forged from turmoil, igniting something far greater. Help will come. I'm not done fighting. The shadows shrieked as the energy began to repel them, distorting their forms. They twisted, howling in rage, a primal scream that echoed through the abyss. And as Emily's light expanded, She felt a sudden rush, the pivotal moment where light could entwine with shadow. The vortex trembled as cracks began to surface in its dark fabric. Was it truly opening? Was she breaking the cycle? Or had she just unleashed something more sinister lurking down below? No. The united voice of the abyss thundered, rage igniting the vortex to roar back with a ferocity that shook her very core. You dare defy us? Just then, in her heart, she felt a sharp pang, a deep intuition warning her of the impending danger. The powerful presence beneath wasn't just an entity. It was something darker, something ancient and wrathful. The air crackled dangerously, filled with the unknown. Would she remain strong enough to face it? Would she forge through this darkness, or would she shatter alongside Jenna and Jake? In the chaos, she realized one thing was true. The truth behind her identity had yet to be truly revealed. As the darkness writhed around her, Emily knew there was no turning back now. They had only grazed the surface of the true horrors that awaited. What else lay hidden in the depths of this dark labyrinth, waiting to break free? And at what cost would the truth be revealed? The shadows howled like tormented souls, swirling faster, angrier, as if sensing Emily's defiance. She took a shaky breath, fighting the icy grip of fear tightening around her heart. Each pulse of light she emanated seemed to thin the darkness, yet it also stirred the abyss, awakening something far more sinister. It was no longer just about saving Jenna and Jake. It felt like a battle for her very soul. "Show me," she shouted, her voice echoing defiantly through the tumult. "Let me see what lurks beneath." And then, just like that, the shadows began to part at her command. A vision materialized, horrifying and enthralling. She saw two figures bound by chains of shadow, convulsing in pain, their faces flickering like candle flames in a storm. Jenna and Jake, their expressions twisted with terror, called out in unison, "Emily, please." Grief clawed at Emily's chest. The sight gutted her, fueling her urgency. She stepped toward them, the pull of their desperate voices igniting her determination. "I'm coming," she pleaded, but the shadows stretched, pulling them deeper into the abyss. "Stay back," a deep, gravelly voice commanded, booming like a thunderclap. From the swirling dark emerged a figure, one shadowy form towering above her, eyes glinting like obsidian in the chaos. It radiated evil, holding power deep and ancient, an infernal guardian, perhaps. "Foolish girl," it hissed, disdain dripping from its words. "You will learn the cost of your rebellion." Emily's heart raced, the weight of its presence pressing down on her. But in that oppressive darkness, something sparked. A memory, a whisper from the voices she had connected with. "You carry within you the essence of the light." They were right. She had to unlock that power within her. "No," she yelled to the figure, defiance fueling her voice. "I refuse to let you take them." With a rush of energy, she concentrated on the glowing thread that intertwined her fate with theirs. She could feel it vibrating with potential, a dormant strength demanding to be unleashed. The shadows writhed, howling in agony as she summoned the warmth that flickered deep in her core. The figure recoiled, its eyes wide with shock. "You cannot comprehend what you're meddling with. You will bring nothing but ruin." "Maybe," Emily shot back, "but I'm willing to take that risk. They are worth it." The darkness around her thickened, attempting to suffocate her light. But she fought back, channeling her emotions, the love for her friends, the anguish of their cries. The golden glow blazed brighter, splitting through the shadows like a lightning bolt. "Feel what lies within," the ancient voices urged, harmonizing with the beat of her heart. "Let it flow." Then, with a final surge, she unleashed her power. It burst forth in a dazzling eruption, a radiant pulse that swept through the dark vortex. The fabric of shadows trembled, ripped, and shifted under the weight of her light. But the guardian was furious, its malicious roar echoing like thunder. "I will not let you escape. You will remain trapped as I have been." Emily took a step forward, light blazing bright around her, eyes locked on the writhing forms of Jenna and Jake. With each passing second, she could feel their connection strengthen. They were fading, yet she could also sense a flicker of hope rising. "Hold on, just hold on," she screamed, heart hammering in her chest, desperate to pull them from the void, desperate to shatter the cycle that held them. Suddenly, the entire vortex quaked, fissures spider webbing outward from her radiant bloom. The shadowy figure surged forward as if trying to snuff her out, anger swirling like a tempest. "I will claim what is mine," it roared, outstretched hands reaching for her. Just as tendrils of darkness wrapped impossibly tight around Emily's legs, she felt something break within the shadows, a pulse of energy flickering beneath. The light she had forged began to warp and swell, as if demanding release. Testing the limits of her will, in that tumultuous moment, a scream pierced the air, a sound that wasn't just fear, but despair threatening to drown her resolve. Could she truly save them? Or was the Dark Guardian more powerful than she ever imagined? Emily felt the world tilt as the shadows blurred, her body threatening to lose the grip of reality. The truth loomed ever closer. Just a heartbeat away. Was she ready to embrace it? As the darkness closed in, bringing with it the weight of awful truths and catastrophic consequences, she couldn't shake the feeling this was only the beginning of a battle that would change everything. What lay ahead in the terrible expanse of the abyss? What answers would emerge, and at what cost? Emily gasped, the breath tearing from her lungs as the explosive power she unleashed surged through her, battling against the clutches of shadow. The ground beneath her feet trembled, and she could sense the world unraveling, every inch of reality threatened by the Dark Guardian's fury. The shadows twisted and contorted, elongating like serpents, seeking to swallow her whole. Desperation clawed at her insides. The vision of Jenna and Jake, their faces wrought with anguish, haunted her every thought. "I want to stop," she shouted defiantly, feeling the golden light pulsate wildly around her, an echo of her heart's undying hope. "I want to let you take them." The dark figure surged forward, roaring in rage, its fury a volcanic eruption that shook Emily to her core. "You think your light can extinguish the primordial shadows? You are foolish." Its voice thundered, making the air crackle with malice as it stretched forward, seeking to erase her from existence. But in the depths of terror, something deep inside Emily ignited a fierce will, a spark of defiance. She stood tall, even as her legs threatened to buckle under the weight of despair. "If it's a fight you want, then it's a fight you'll get." Channeling her energy, she sent out a wave of brilliance that lit the darkness like a supernova. The shadows recoiled, shrieking, twisting in pain. The air crackled around her, vibrating with an electrifying tension. The chains binding Jenna and Jake strained against the onslaught of light, their forms shimmering like mirages on the brink of vanishing. Suddenly, the vortex cloned itself into a myriad of faces, each one twisted in fear and rage. They were trapped souls, tormented by the same nightmarish fate. Emily's heart raced as she realized her friends were not alone. They were surrounded by an eternity of lost spirits, their cries mingling in a cacophony of anguish that echoed through the abyss. "Fight back," a voice whispered from within the shadows. Yet it wasn't a voice of support, it was an unnatural serenade of temptation. "Join us, Emily. Your power will consume you. Embrace the shadows, and they will set you free." Shaking her head violently, Emily gripped her hands into fists, feeling the warmth radiate from her palms. "No, I will never surrender." The power surged through her like wildfire, igniting her resolve. With every ounce of love she felt for her friends, she directed the golden light towards them, unwilling to let despair snuff the flickering flames. The ground cracked and fissured beneath her feet as the Guardian howled, its voice rising into a furious crescendo. "You dare challenge me? I was born from the void, and I will not be denied." As if to answer its challenge, the shadows erupted in a chaotic squall, slashing against Emily's light, threatening to douse her hope. She felt her strength waning, but the vision of Jenna and Jake, trapped and suffering, pushed her forward. "You're coming back with me. Together," she screamed, directing her energy towards them. In a blinding explosion, her light collided with the darkness, creating a shockwave that rippled outward. The figure faltered, its form twisting and contorting in the surge, revealing hints of a face one filled with anger, pain, and something eerily familiar. Was it a spirit she once knew? A warning? In that split second, clarity struck Emily like a bolt of lightning. The shadows weren't just here to claim her friends. They were remnants of lost souls, caught in a tragic cycle birthed from their own despair. "Stop!" she cried out, as the realization hit her like a punch to the gut. You're all trapped. You need to break free. The guardian lunged at her, dark tendrils reaching for her heart. But Emily stood her ground. I won't let any of you go through this again. Not with me here. In the chaos, a glimmer of another brilliant pulse ignited, one that radiated not only from her, but from the shadows themselves. It was a chorus of voices, a unity rising from the brink of despair. The dark guardian flinched but pressed forward with renewed ferocity, determined to extinguish her light. Can you take the darkness within you? It hissed. Face your truth, Emily. As the shadows clawed at her, she felt the weight of their pain, battling against her resolve. Everything was converging. The truth of her own being felt too close now, a haunting whisper wrapped in a chilling promise. Would she embrace that truth, even if it meant shedding all she knew? The question hung heavily in the air, one that could bring salvation or utter destruction. The shadows surged, a monstrous tide drawing Emily into the depths of despair. But beneath the fear, a flicker of hope flared violently within her, fueled by her love for Jenna and Jake. Their voices echoed in her mind, tugging at her heart. You can do it. We believe in you. For a moment, she closed her eyes and focused on the warmth pooling in her core. The voices of her ancestors filled her. You are more than mere shadows, you are light. Claim it. As the darkness clawed at her, threatening to consume her whole, that light burst forth like a lighthouse in a storm. No, she shouted, pushing all her energy into the glowing thread connecting her to her friends. I will not abandon you. In a blinding flash, the golden light engulfed them, shattering chains that wrapped around Jenna and Jake. The shadows screamed, recoiling as the light tore through the darkness like dawn breaking over the horizon. Fear melted away, replaced by a surge of exhilaration. Emily felt a rush of ancient knowledge coursing through her veins, a power awakening in her bloodline that refused to bend to despair. As the shadows ebbed away, Jenna and Jake materialized beside her, their faces burning with disbelief and relief. You did it, Jake gasped, staring wide-eyed at the chaos around them. I knew you could, but the Dark Guardian was far from defeated. With a primal howl, it surged forward, fury distorting its face, a collage of rage and desperation. You've only delayed the inevitable. It bellowed, summoning the shadows to thrash fiercely. You cannot escape your fate. Emily felt her heart race. She turned to Jenna and Jake, who held her gaze with unwavering trust. In that moment, she realized their togetherness had awakened something deeper, a connection of souls forged by adversity. We in this together, she declared, fury swelling. With determination, they reached for one another, hands clasped. A surge of energy shot through their united grasp, sending ripples of light that cut through the shadows. We have the strength of our ancestry, Emily cried, voice steady and fierce. We will break this cycle. The Guardian screeched, distorted forms flickering behind it, swirling in confusion as the light pushed closer, erasing the darkness like night yielding to day. No, you are bound to this darkness. It howled in disbelief. We choose to be free, Jenna shouted, her resolve echoing in the air. The words ignited an explosion of light, bursting forth from their joined hands, overwhelming the Guardian's despairing cries. In an epic clash, shadows and light battled furiously, but the light was fused with a purpose of fierce love for each other and a solemn pledge to break the chains of despair. With each pulse, clarity about their ancestry solidified, lending them courage. And at that moment, the darkness shuddered, stalling against the illuminated wave. Emily's heart thundered in her chest as she realized this was their ultimate truth. Not just her own destiny, but that of a lineage that had long been shackled by fear and sorrow. With one final push, they channeled everything past, present, and every ounce of hope they carried. The shadows shrieked one last time as a bright flash erupted, engulfing the battlefield. When the light settled, everything was still. The vortex closed itself, evaporating into nothingness, the ground beneath their feet solid. No shadows remained, only a soft glow illuminating the park, as if the night itself sighed in relief. What would just happened? Jake stammered, disbelief written across his face. Emily looked at her friends, bewilderment washing over her, but warmth radiated to a deep, profound connection. We faced the darkness together, she said, a tear slipping down her cheek, but it was no longer one of sadness. We chose our destiny and broke the cycle. As silence encased them, the familiarity of the park returned, though it felt different now, bathed in a renewed energy. Millwood was free, no longer haunted by shadows. A whisper of the past wrapped around them. Your lineage can now evolve. The figure's voice echoed softly, a fading reminder of the truth they had unearthed. As they turned to leave, hope sparked anew in their hearts, a hope that transcended fear. They had learned that together, they held an eternal light. A light that could illuminate even the darkest paths and unite the shadows once more with the warmth of truth and belonging. Let us go home, Emily said, glancing back toward the park, knowing it had changed. And so had they. As they walked together, hand in hand, the clock chimed softly in the distance. Midnight had brought its secrets, but they had triumphed over chaos, ready to embrace a new dawn, filled with promise and love. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any more incredible stories like this. This is the moment to show your support. Remember to smash the like button now. It truly helps the algorithm feed our awesome community. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Let me know how the truth impacted you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is everything.